To me, it's the same as the slogan that we have, remember Pearl Harbor. Very, very little is known about the history of them getting these old planes and rebuilding them, and putting them back into flying shape. And look at very, very few of them in comparison that ever got back into flying shape after the war. Okay? Remember these things.
What's it like for you when you see B-17?
Oh, I drool. I drool. But unfortunately, I can't climb into one anymore. You didn't have time to be afraid. You might feel that after the mission's over, after you're back on the ground, and getting out of the airplane, hitting the terra firma once more. You said, whew, lucky this time, wasn't I? But you did really. You didn't have time to be afraid because you was always, you had, number one, you got to take care of your crew first. You got to take care of the crew. If you can't do that without taking care of your plane. So you babied them both. And you didn't have time to be afraid for yourself, honestly. I had only been able to locate one of my co-pilots from pre-Pearl Harbor, honestly. And I buried him at the cemetery over here, the DFW cemetery. You're not consolidated. You're separated all the time. Here, I've had a crew here. If I had to substitute my crew, where do they come from? And where do they go? I don't know. I really don't know, because I wasn't told. I know one mission I was so perturbed. My co-pilot, he got some disease. I don't know what he had, malaria or whatever. And they're sending me one from Australia, out of Townsville. And I find out, I didn't get anybody. Here I am waiting. I can't even plan my mission. And all of a sudden I got word that he was killed on takeoff in the B-17 out of Townsville, Australia, before he got across the water to Port Moresby. So I had to wait for another one. Nobody ever discussed Pearl Harbor when they came back. Even the bodies coming back from Pearl Harbor and everything come to San Francisco, and they come in by ship. What they did, they sent them to the railroad station and consigned them to the town that they came from, wherever in the United States, and they laid there. And here we had in 1994. My organization, which Pearl Harbor Survivors Association, we got together and said we're going to start a project to find out where in the hell these guys are. What happened to them? Nobody knows. So we got all the information of where they went, and I did 8 different cemeteries all over Texas where they went to this town. They're supposedly consigned to the town. And so I went to the town, find out all the cemeteries, find out there, and we located, I forgot the figure, I think it was 194 different bodies, but no record of anywhere else, except they were buried. And they weren't even, the gravestones weren't even marked. So we put a plaque on each gravestone, Pearl Harbor. I got one of the plaques, bronze plaque. We had just got back from a mission. They asked me how long it would take me to go for another ride. It said, how long would it take you to go for another ride? I said, well, got a little maintenance to do on this crate, because it was one of the older airplanes and so forth. He said, well, when you get through, let us know. we got through, and it was late afternoon, and say, where are you going? He says, off to New Zealand. Huh? New Zealand? Hey, that's south. The Japs are this way. And I got word that somebody had spotted submarines in the area out somewhere around there, from one of the islands and so forth. So we went on a spotting mission for submarines to New Zealand. We got down there, and I was flying. I was about, I think I was 4,000 feet there, because there was a cloud layer above us. And we were running, and somebody saw a shadow. Hey, that looks like a sub. Huh? So I said, give me a 180. Turn around. We don't. Hey, he does. So I went down to 500 feet. I says, hey, Jesse, open the bomb bays. We opened the bomb bays, and we dropped 2 bombs. And all of a sudden, the whole ocean turned red. I hit a whale, big whale. He looked like a sub. I had a little trouble explaining where my 2 bombs went. I think how I got into the Korean War, I think it was something that might interest all of you, and how I met my wife. So I'd come back to the States, and I was with the Bomber Command, and I was in the IG inspecting. I was going to all the bases inspecting bombers, including the Rome Air Depot, which was the big one, and so forth. And all of a sudden, I got orders to report to Mission Field, Long Island, headquarters, 1st Air Force. Whoops, what? And got down there, and they geared me, and I said, Bob, we're going to have a mission for you. I said, okay. Next thing I knew, I was on a plane. I was in General Eggie's plane going to Washington, D.C. Signed at the Pentagon. Huh? And ironically, I was on the Pentagon down there, bivouacked in Fort McNair. And we'd have to take the bus over to the Pentagon and so forth. But I was going to a strategic intelligence school in the Pentagon. And the morning, the 25th of June, 26th of June, 1950, I got up. I fooled these guys. I used to be at Bowling Field, running Bowling Field. And so I would grab a cab, a bus, and go over the bus over to Bowling Field, and then get on the boat across the river, get into the Pentagon. I'm standing there waiting for these guys to come in from there in the bus. When I got there, I went down to 3rd floor, down our classroom, and the FBI guard standing there, he was FBI. He said, Bob, don't even drop your briefcase. He said, turn your butt around and go back to there, pack your stuff in the foot locker, address it to where you want it to go, be out at Andrews Air Force Base this afternoon at 2:30, because you're going to be wheels up at 3 o'clock. Where? Korea. War had been declared that day. I didn't even know it until I got to the Pentagon, back to the Pentagon.
How did you meet your wife?
No, I was on assignment at Strategic Analytics School for Air Attaché, Turkey. So I had to put that off, go to Korea, come back. Took 2 weeks to the whole deal. 2 weeks to set up a provisional Air Force headquarters in Korea. And got back to the Pentagon, and I had to complete a 3-month course in 12 days. 3 months intelligence course in 12 days on Middle East, Turkey. And then I left the 21st of July for Turkey on attaché duty. That's where I met my wife.
In Turkey?
Yeah.
Oh, she's Turkish?
No.
Oh.
No.
She's...
Her father is a stateless citizen in Turkey, actually Albanian, Italian Albanian, Albanian actually, and Greek. She's Greek. That's why she had that name. Yeah, then they spelled it wrong, by the way.
And she saw you and fell in love.
I saw her standing on the corner waiting for a bus to go to school. I'm a little bit older than she is. 12 years. 66 years last June. I almost spent more time away from her than I have with her because I did the Cold War too. In 1976, I was assigned to Rotterdam, Holland, NATO liaison officer for all of it. I had all of Europe, North Africa, Greece, Turkey, Norway, North Island. I was liaison officer. And I was on the road about 21 days a month, average. I used to take her off with me on a lot of trips. Take her on a trip, take her with me, and then we had the weekends. I'd take the weekend off, except if I had something to do on Monday, I said, no, I'm working.